Hey guys, thank you again for joining us in this week's webinar where I'm here today like usual with my people. We got Nicole, we got Hector, we got Jaden, and we're all super excited to show you some of the crafts that we were able to come up with, especially for Thanksgiving. I find that Thanksgiving is a little bit more difficult to find like certain decor ideas, you know. So, but now that we're all home, we could also look around your home so that you could create these wonderful things. All you'll probably need is definitely some paint, you'll definitely need some glue, and a couple of other items. Please remember to sign up for next month's webinar. We will be making that, that will be coming up soon.
The next one is going to be the pop-up holiday cards.
That's right, pop into the holidays, and I might put in some extra little something that I'm thinking I might add in there. So we're gonna be doing that, and Nicole has some great examples what she's gonna be showing us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. I'm gonna lower the camera and I'm gonna talk a little bit about the materials and let's continue. Okay, so today we are going to be doing some cool little crafts. So I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be doing. This is one of the final products. So I make this cute little pumpkin here with corks, and so I was able to create this little cute craft with it. So definitely first thing you'll notice we're gonna need some corks. So I got this whole entire bag of them here. Next, we're gonna definitely need a little small cork for your top because we need that little top portion, right? Then we're gonna need some of this cord. You see how it's like a little bit of hemp, the hemp cord. It's really cool. And next, we're gonna definitely need some scissors. Kiddos, please do not try this at home by yourselves. Please always make sure you have your parents helping you, right? And you could either cut your own leaf out, as I did here. I'm gonna be using this one. It's a little leaf that I cut out from a felt material that I have here. I cut this from this felt material. I went ahead and folded it, right? And I actually cut it out. It will take me a little bit of time, so that's why I went ahead and cut it out before, because it's gonna take me a long time to do it live. And if you don't want to cut your own little leaf, maybe you can have, I found this little leaf from one of my flowers. This is not a real leaf, guys, so just FYI, you could find yourself one of those. And of course, you're gonna need some paint. Here I'm using this orange paint and I'm using a green paint as well. And I'm actually going to combine it, as you can see right here in the camera. I just put them together and I'm gonna mix them together, right? So I'm gonna prepare my paint before. So let me, now that's ready. And I'm gonna make, since I made this medium pumpkin, I actually have a larger one here as well that I made with this other leaf. So I'm gonna make like a little mini series of them. They're gonna be 3 different ones. So if you can envision with me, we're going to put these little pumpkins in the center as centerpieces at your dinner table. So that's gonna be fun. So I actually already glued these together to save myself a little bit of time. But as you can see here, first, we're gonna start off with the smallest one. You could see that we have 3, and then it goes up to 4, 5 being the center. So you know your center is gonna have the more of them, right? And then you go back down, 4 and 3. So that's the medium one. And then of course, the larger you make them, you're gonna have to continue adding more. So this I'm doing 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, right? But in this one, I'm gonna be doing 3, 4, and 3. So I'm gonna make a me a cute little mini pumpkin. So it's really any acrylic paint will do in reality, but just FYI, just know that really any sort of acrylic paint will do, especially if it's like at student level, that would actually work for you as well. So I'm gonna give the glue gun a little bit of time to heat up a little bit because it unplugged and I didn't realize that. So give me a minute.
Also, really quick on the subject of glue, we had a question. Carol asked if any other kind of glue could work. Like, does it have to be a hot glue gun, or is there another adhesive alternative?
You could use any sort of crafting glue. It is gonna take a little bit longer to actually, glue down. So you're gonna have to give it some time. But the only reason why I like using the glue gun is because it dries very easily. But of course, you want to make sure that you're using this with your parents. Make sure your parents are around. Adults, also be careful because I'm an adult and I still burn myself. So that's going to be the first one. It's a good thing that this one heats up very easily. Take the next one here. So I'm just applying it right, like almost in the center, because that's where it's going to be sitting. And then of course, sometimes the glue gun leaves like these little strings behind it. So you're just gonna have to be careful with that and just take them off. So you see, that's why I personally like the glue gun, because it glues very easily. But like I said, any crafty glue will just do for you. So that's perfectly fine. So this paint is a little like extra bright orange. I find very interesting. So let's see that. Look at that orange. That's right. There's also tacky glue. Tacky glue should work just fine. See, I feel already right over here, I already feel it loose right there. So immediately I'd have to go in there and apply some more glue to it. Okay. So once I'm done with that, let's go ahead and paint all of this. So I'm kind of liking this orange here. I'm kind of liking it.
Also, Dinah,
And you
some
could,
people came in a little bit after you started, so maybe just mention what materials you're using, the corks and the paint.
absolutely. Yes, so I'm using corks, wine corks, and you could easily, recycle them, especially now during the holidays. But if you cannot recycle them, I believe they do sell them, but I'm always advising people to try to recycle and upcycle as many things as possible because, it's just better that we do. Right, so these little corks were actually donated by a couple of people here, some patrons. So I'm just painting it all the way around, and I'm actually liking this orange here. It's a little bright orange, but that's okay because it's 3 different pumpkins. Of course, you're gonna need your brush. You're gonna need some paint. I already went over that you'll need a leaf as well, but I went ahead and cut mine out because it's a little tiny, it's smaller. The leaf is bigger than the pumpkin, so I don't think it would fit very well. Okay. You might need some gloves if you don't want to get paint all over your hands. I personally don't mind the paint because I know that it comes right off and it's non-toxic. Maybe that's something that you guys want to look into as well, that it's when you're buying paint, that's something that's non-toxic, just in case if you get it on your hands or on your arm. And sometimes these, the corks have like a little bit of holes in them. So I'm just trying to really go in there and cover all of that up, right? All right, so once my pumpkin is done, it's gonna be wet so for the sake of this, let's pretend it's dry. So now I think I am ready to put the little stem here. So I want to put the little stem. But before I do that, I'm going to add the little leaf to it as well. So let me go ahead and add that. And I'm going to put the little leaf on it. I'm going to add a little bit more glue to the cork itself. So I already had this one done, you know, because I didn't want to wait for it to dry. And there is your cute little pumpkin. So now, after you've done that, you could go ahead and come bring the little cord here. Okay, I can't really do it because it's still not dry. So I have to wait for that one a little bit. But I'm just gonna let that dry. So now we have 3 pumpkins that you could put in the center of your table, and you could celebrate Thanksgiving, and you could take them out every fall, or maybe give them as little gifts for people that you would like to gift them to. So I'm gonna have a little series of 3 of them. Yeah. And now I'm gonna toss it over to my colleague Hector, and he's gonna be showing us how to make these cute little owl ornaments. Hector?
So let me show you guys my little presentation on how to do owls. And this is a project that's very easy to make. I am using just regular toilet paper rolls to create this. So let's go over the materials. You're gonna need at least 2 rolls of toilet paper, but you can definitely use more. If I did 4 different types of owls, and we use a variety of materials, so you guys can uh, get creative when you're doing this. You're not stuck to just one way of doing this. As far as the other materials that we're gonna be using, we're gonna be using scissors, glue. You can use the glue sticks if you have those, or just kind of any kind of white regular glue that you use for school projects. That's all you need for that. We are going to be using acrylic paint and brushes for this demonstration, but you also have the option of just using felt, especially for the fall occasion, you know, white and light browns and oranges. That the felt, I think, is probably the easiest way to create your little owls. Uh, but I also show you the acrylic paint, or also you can use markers. Now, markers are a little bit more finicky, depending on what the tools you have. They're a little bit harder to get nice results from that, but it is doable. We're also going to be using a little piece of string. You can use any kind of string that you have. You could even use old shoelaces or any kind of string that you want to use if you want to create the hanging ornaments. I'm also going to show you how you can also use the owls just standing up without having to be hanging. So that's another option when you start creating your owls. And finally, I use regular printer or bond paper, just white paper for some of the details. And if you want to get more creative, you can also use maybe some glitter or some other, maybe use buttons for the eyes of the owl. Try to get creative. I'm only going to be showing like the basic way of creating the little owls. Okay, so let's start with the process. So you're going to be grabbing a regular toilet paper roll, and you're going to be folding over the top and the bottom parts of the toilet roll. And then you're gonna be folding them inwards, just at the very top, to create a little part of the head and the feet. And we're also going to be cutting with either scissors, or maybe you have a little drill, you can do a little hole at the very top of the front part, which is going to be folding down. So it's going to look a little bit like you see in the image right there. I'm showing you the bottom. Again, the bottom part, if you want your little owl to stand up regularly on a desk on a flat surface, you may not need to do that little fold. You can just leave it as is and then just fold the top. The top part is important. And as you can see, we have the little string. And I also created that little hole on the top front, maybe about a quarter of an inch from the top. You want to leave enough space so that it doesn't rip in case you're hanging it on your Christmas tree or on your wall or any other part of your house. Now we're going to be, and this is a closer look at the image that I just showed you. This is the front part. You're going to be threading that little piece of string through the hole, so both ends, and you're going to be either taping or gluing the ends to the side of the roll. Let me show that. Yeah, so there's a picture of how it's supposed to look in the back. You want to make sure you can even do a little knot if you're able to do that, but you don't have to. You can just easily tape it, or you can glue it, or you do both. You can glue it and then just to secure it properly, add a little bit of regular tape or even masking tape. Now, when you're in this stage, you're going to have to decide how you're going to decorate your owl. Like I mentioned, you can use felt, which is probably the easiest way to do this. You can use acrylic paints, which I'm going to be demonstrating in the slide, or you can use a combination of acrylic paint and markers as well. So the first thing I suggest after you folded the ends of the owl, you're going to be using white acrylic paint as a primer or base. And I did this because I did several tryouts before I finally settled on a design. And I found out that applying white acrylic paint really helped in adding the other colors that you're gonna be using. Just be careful, because if you add too much paint, it's gonna soften the toilet paper. So you definitely want to let it rest at least 45 minutes to an hour. And apply maybe one side first. So do the whole front and part of the sides. And then you wait a little bit and do the other side. So if you have multiple rolls, you might want to do all at the same time while you wait. We're going to be doing some other parts of the process. So this is how it can look when you're painting the base, the acrylic white. Or if you want to, you can also, now that we created a little loop with the string, you can hang it from either a little hook or a little clothes hanger. You can put it in there and maybe let it dry. But if not, just paint over one side and then wait for it to dry. After you do both sides of the white color, then you want to choose a different acrylic paint color of your choice for the main part of the figure. I use two different colors, so definitely if you have 2 shades of brown, which is what I did for this particular owl, you want to make sure that you apply the lighter shade first. So apply it evenly on one side, and again, let it dry. And while you're drying that, you are going to be doing the next part of the process, which is, this is how it looks on the side. So you want to be creating the little eyes and the beak for the owl while you're letting your paint dry. What I did for this, I used regular bond paper, and I grabbed a little quarter and I drew the little eyes of the owl. And depending on how big you want it to look, how big the eyes are, usually owls have big eyes, so that's why I use a quarter, but you could also use a nickel to do the little design of it. And just cut a small little triangle. And what I did is then I painted that little triangle before I cut it. Because definitely we're gonna cut down those pieces and glue them onto the body of the owl once it's fully dry. Now, while the paint is drying, you can also work on the wings. And the way I did the wings, I basically cut in half a separate paper roll. Then I drew the little wings and cut out the parts. You want to make sure that the paper roll is flat before you start drawing, otherwise it'll curl back up. So make sure that it's on a flat surface and you apply a little bit of pressure just to kind of flatten out the little paper roll. And then you can do multiples per roll. I was able to get 6 little wings. And I left a little part of like a little square because that's where I'm going to be applying the glue when I attach it to the back of the owl. Once you have cut the wings, you can use again the same acrylic paint. And what I did is I painted the wings, the inside of the wings with a lighter shade and then a darker shade for the back. And you can make the inside of the wings a little bit darker than the body of the owl so that it stands out a little bit better. And again, once you painted the wings, you want to let them dry for a considerable amount of time. Again, 45 minutes works quite good for this. And again, you apply the wings. You're gonna glue them. You're also gonna glue the eyes and the beak onto the owl. And to draw the little pupils, I used, you can use markers or paint, but I found out if you guys have like micron markers or any kind of black ink soft brush, you can do that for the eyes. It stands out a little bit better. But if you don't have that, then markers will work just fine, or paint. When you're at this stage, you're pretty much done with the owl itself. But you can also accessorize it, maybe draw a little bit of the design of the feathers on the body with markers, or you can add little glitter or even stickers to give it more of a little detail. So this is how it finally looks with all the designs. And like I mentioned, I created different versions. So the top left is the one I just showed you guys. If you notice the one in blue, I did the eyes in white. The white part, I did it with acrylic paint, but I got better results using the white paper to cut out the eyes and then glue them onto the body of the owl. That gave me a better way to add the details onto the pupil. And also, I also painted the little beak on the blue owl with acrylic paint, but it started fading a little bit. So I noticed that using the bond paper and painting it with either markers or paints gave me a better result. The bottom left one, which is the felt one, that was the easiest, and that you just have to measure it before you glue the parts, and you just cut off a little side of it, and it goes over like a little bit of a blanket. So it's kind of like a gift wrap, basically. And then you cut out the little details for the wings. You can either put them on front like I did in this case, or you can use the same technique that I showed you before so that you can put the wings on the back. And finally, the one on the bottom right, it's completely done with markers. And what I did is I rolled the bond paper right over the body of the owl. I wrapped them up in bond paper. And then I started using markers to color the body of the owl. Again, you use the lighter shade first, and then you go over with a darker shade of the marker. And if you notice at the bottom part, I didn't fold the little toilet roll, so I left it as is. And that one is the one that stands best on a flat surface. So if you want to put your little owl on top of a desk or a table, that will give you the best results. But otherwise, feel free to get creative when you're doing your little owls. And yeah, try it out. Let me know how it goes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hector. I'm going to be showing you how to make adorable bottle vases. And I'm a lot like Dinah. I like to recycle things and make something new out of them. So these were made out of, I think this was kombucha, and this one was at the YouMake space. It looks like it was like a sauce bottle or something, and they don't match. They're totally different, and I love the fact that they're different. And we're going to use even more different ones. So this is the one we're making right now. I don't know what was in it, but it's a cool little bottle. It's got this fun design and this little pop-out thing, and we're going to color it. So it's really easy to do. All you do is grab an acrylic paint. I wanted my paints to be coordinating but not exactly matching, so I've got yellow and orange and over here is a brown, and then I've got this green. And I'm going to take this green, I'm going to pour it straight into the bottle. So it's going to pool up at the bottom here. It'll look a little weird, this like moss green color. And once I've got some at the bottom, I'm going to flip it and turn it and move it around so it'll just coat the inside of my bottle. This one's really, really nice to do because it's hard to mess up. Like there's no skill involved. I'm just turning the bottle so that paint will move around by itself. And it really doesn't take long. It's pretty fast. And these ones over here, I did actually with tempera, I don't know how to say it, but I did with a different kind of paint. And the tempera, it worked fine. It coated the bottle well, but it took a really long time to dry. So bottles, you know, they've got that really narrow opening, and you got to be careful about letting it dry. I didn't want to put my flour into a wet bottle. Okay, so we're just going to pretend that I coated this evenly and it's good to go, and I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. I actually, whenever I was letting these ones dry, I turned it on its side and let it dry in front of a fan so that I would get airflow blowing in there, and really let it dry well before I put any flowers in there. So this one was already done. And now I've got this colorful bottle. I'm going to put my ribbon on it. And this is just a burlap ribbon. It comes in a roll like this, and you could use literally anything. There was also these things just in the YouMake space, and it's like this really weird half of a ribbon. Like I don't even know what it is for, but you can use anything at all. You can even cut a strip of fabric and put it on here if you've got a strip of fabric laying around. And I'm just gonna sight measure this thing. So I want it to be about that long. And then I'm gonna take my scissors and cut the length that I want right down there. Set aside that. And then I've got my burlap, and I'm going to make sure that it's parallel to the edges, like right here and right here. And I'm going to take my glue gun. I also use a glue gun. They're super convenient because they harden so quickly. And I'm going to just lay, there we go, a bead of glue right there. I place this down. And you do need to be really, really careful when using a glue gun because I burnt myself using a glue gun right there. All right, so flip it all the way around, and then I'm going to glue down the other side. And for this, I know you can use other glues. This one's glue gun's just so convenient because it hardens so quickly. But you could use tacky glue. I've also used like the PVA stuff. It's kind of thing. All right, and then whenever you got this, that's literally all you do. It's the easiest craft in the world. And then you can put a flower in it or whatever you want to put in it, really. You could put leaves in here, feathers. You could have just sticks from outside. I've seen people decorate with sticks and it can look really cute. So I'm just going to trim this down because it's way too tall and I want it to be about that tall. There's like 4 inches left at the bottom that I want to trim off. And then once I do that, it'll just rest in there and it'll be this little decorative, different size, shaped, and colored bottles. And I really like the way that looks. It's going to be really cute. You can see the whole thing. All right, and then I had one more thing to show you because I got really excited finding stuff to do. So this one is a book pumpkin. This was made out of a book. It was a book that nobody wanted and was getting thrown away. And I said, I want to make something out of it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Ooh, it could be used as a pencil holder. Good thinking. Makeup brushes, I love it, yes. Okay, so we're gonna start with a book. This is an old book. You can see it's like scuffed up in places. The first thing we need to do is cut off the cover. So this cover is really, really great for books and really, really great for using for other things. So if you like to upcycle things like I do, you totally can save it or just throw it away. But you're going to use an X-acto blade. X-acto blades are very, very sharp. So make sure that you have an adult's help if you are using an X-acto blade, or just ask your parent, guardian, whoever, to help you do this because they're very sharp. All right, so what you do is you cut right in the crease of the inside page, and it's going to stay because it's glued down in the center. So we're going to cut the other side also. I think it's funny how this book, the end pages are 2 different colors. Here it's purple, and on the other side it was blue. All right, so I'm cutting that. And then once I have it cut, I'm going to rip off that cover. Oh yeah, there you go. We've ripped off the back cover, and again, you can save it for another use or just throw it away. And I'm also going to rip off the end pages so that it's not going to show up this blue amongst all of the white. It's going to be really noticeable in my pumpkin. And there we go. Okay, so now that we've got our plain text block, we need a pumpkin shape. If I were to fold this right now, it would just look like, I don't even know what's a cylindrical rectangle, whatever that shape would be. So I'm going to draw on this page curves around, or in front of rather, my points, my corners, so that whenever I cut this out, it will make a pumpkin shape. And I'm going to do it on the other side also. All right, and it doesn't have to be perfect because again, you're going to be using the X-acto blade. Again, be super careful. If you have one of these, they're super sharp. And all we're going to do is cut over and over this side. I'm just going to do this a couple times just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just really slowly and carefully going. I went in front of the line because I don't want my pen mark to show up. And I'm going to pull off corners little by little. See how it cuts into a few pages at a time? You're going to do that over and over and over until you've cut off your corners. And it does take a bit of time, like it's going to take a minute, but the end result is really fun. All right, so once you've done that, you'll have something that looks like this. And you can go ahead and paint the edges on my big pumpkin. This one, you can see a little bit of orange on the edges here. And all I did was take a little bit of orange acrylic paint, mix it with a little bit of water, and then I used my paintbrush to brush all of my edges until I was happy with the way that it looked. And then even after I opened it up and spread the pages out, I brushed on a little bit more, like under the inside, so that I would just have more orange. But I really like the way that it looks whenever you can see a hint of color, but it's not too much, and you can still see the text inside the book. Okay, so from here, you split the pages in half and fold it. You want that spine to meet, and we are going to, at this point, take our glue gun and glue down the center.
Really quick, Nicole,
Yeah.
the volume kind of cut out a bit when you were talking about the paint. Like, what did you mix with
Oh,
the
sorry.
orange?
I mix orange acrylic paint with a little bit of water to make a wash.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be light and not cover up the text on the page just because I like that look. But you can absolutely use thicker paint. I've seen people use spray paint and they'll just spray down the pages, and it covers more of the text and makes it more pumpkin-like rather than book-like. But I kind of like the book look. All right, so you'll notice I'm holding down so that the glue will harden while it's folded over. And then once this is secure, we are going to open it up. See if I can turn this up a little. We're gonna open it up, and you'll notice that the pages clump, especially back here. There's a big gap in the pages. So what we need to do to help take care of that is we're going to take our glue gun again, and we're going to put a little bead of glue in between each page. And this part is the most time consuming, actually. And I'm just, here, if I can get this so you can see it. And I'm literally just putting a little plop of glue right into the spine so that whenever it will dry and open up, it's more likely to stay open. Whereas over here, you can see that they're clumps and they're staying closed. So that does take some time. I'm not going to do all that. But then, all right, so to finish off this guy, which turned out really big. It was the same size as this book, and I didn't actually think it was going to be as big as it is, but it's huge. It's like the size of a real pumpkin. So it's fun, but large. So I think it'd be really cool if I had a smaller book to work with. But I'm going to make a stem on top, and I just happen to have these cinnamon sticks, which I thought would make a fun stem. And they actually don't smell like cinnamon. It would have been really great if they did, though, because I feel like cinnamon's a fall flavor. So I'm just going to arrange these the way that I like. And you can use literally anything as a stem. You could use sticks from outside. You could use paper that's rolled up. And then I'm going to take my glue gun. I'm going to put it on the bottom of my cinnamon. Just put it right there in the center. And I will let that harden. And then I thought I had some raffia, like the, oh, I forget what it's called, like the paper twine stuff, but I don't. So I found this weird, I don't know what it is. It's like yarn, but I figured I would use that to wrap my stem. So I'm just gonna circle it around. Oh, good, now it's hard. And I can work with it. So I'm just gonna circle this around a few times. I don't even know what it's supposed to look like. I guess pumpkins grow on a vine, right? It could look like that. And I actually think I would want to add more because this isn't enough of a vine. But I mean, it's something to give it a little bit of decoration, something fun for your table. You could use this as a centerpiece. I don't know, but it's just fun. So I hope you enjoy that. And I'm going to pass it over to Jaden, who has an adorable craft for you guys. Thank you, Jaden.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everyone, for all your cute little crafts. And my craft that I'm going to be working on, you guys might laugh at this. They're turkeys. You can see right here, they're pretty funky looking. So I'm going to show you two different versions of them. This one is made out of craft foam, and this one is made out of felt. I think almost all of us have used felt today in our crafts. So felt is a very universal thing. I'm going to show you guys all the materials that you'll need. So here I have my felt sheets in a bunch of different colors. I actually created a pattern for the turkey. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I basically drew it on paper and cut out a pattern. I'm going to be using a pen to mark out the pieces and cut them out of the felt. Of course, the scissors are very sharp, so make sure that you have parents' permission to use these as well. And I'm going to be using this tacky glue to stick it all together. So I'm going to start off with cutting out the pieces. I'm just going to have my brown felt right here. And if you can see here, I made a pattern piece for the tail feathers. I made one for the body, and then the wings and the little feet. So I'm going to cut out the wings and the body. So if you'll notice, there's like a crease here in the middle. See how it's folded in half? Just like how Dinah demonstrated earlier with the leaf. In order to get a perfectly symmetrical cut, you want to fold it in half and cut it on a fold so it comes out even. So I'm going to cut this on a fold so it comes out perfectly symmetrical, and then I'm going to cut out two of these because these are the little wings. So I have my felt here. Go ahead and fold this right here. Place this on the fold. Get it nice and close. A little bit wider. So once I have this here, just to mark where I'm going to cut, I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to trace around it. Using pen on felt is a little tricky. It's kind of hard for it to show up. So if you have like a marker or maybe something that marks on fabric a little easier, you might have a better time, because this is kind of hard to see. I'm just gonna make a rough outline where I need to mark it, right around there. So I can kind of see more or less where I need to cut. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out. Trying to be careful because these are very sharp. I have my little blobby body right there. Then I'm gonna do the same for the wing. Have a little turkey wing right here. I'm gonna trace that so I can cut out two of them and they come out even. Kind of trace it. So for material like felt, fabric scissors are the ideal to use for this. But if you try to cut felt with regular craft scissors, you're gonna struggle just a little bit because I had a hard time myself. Fabric scissors tend to be sharper and better for cutting through really thick surfaces. And of course, if you do get fabric scissors, make sure you only use them on fabric, because fabric scissors tend to go dull if you use them on the materials they're not intended to be used on. The wings are going to be a little bit choppy, but our turkeys don't need to be perfect, so it's okay. So here I have my little wings. Flip them this way so you don't see the pen marks. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I already had some pieces pre-cut. So I have the tail feathers. I cut them in two different sizes so they can overlap each other like this. So the biggest tail feather, the widest one, is going to be our base pretty much to stack all the other felt pieces on top of. So the next piece that comes after this is the second layer of the tail feathers. So I'm going to take my tacky glue right here. And just so I don't make a mistake and put on more glue than I'm supposed to on the outside, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the piece that I want to attach. I tried using Elmer's glue and glue sticks, but the felt did not hold together. So using a tacky glue or fabric glue may be best for felt, because the other glues just don't really work as adhesives very well on this material. But if you're making it out of the craft foam, it works pretty well on that. Go ahead and stack this. Try to make it kind of even. Got a little bit on my finger there. So I just press it down. And another thing to keep in mind when you're pressing the pieces together, you probably can't see too well, but if you look really closely, sometimes the glue can kind of bleed through if you press too hard. So you want to be careful that that doesn't happen, because then it's going to come through the fabric and harden and just look kind of ugly. It might mess it up a little bit. So we do that. And then here we have our little body. I already pre-cut the little feet for you guys. So when it comes to the little feet layer, it's going to be sandwiched between the body and the tail. So I cut the legs just a little bit longer than what they're supposed to be to give that extra wiggle room. So see how I place them like this? I know it's a little tricky to see because it's like orange on orange. You can see this. I'm gonna put them right about there. And then the body should go on top. So you're sandwiching the little feet between the body and the tail feathers. So you do that. The glue, of course. And then you have your little wings that go here. And you add your beak. I used googly eyes online, but pretty much when you glue everything down and assemble it together, I'll show you guys a finished version, you end up with this. Looks really funny. So just to be extra funny, I gave the googly eyes like 2 different sizes just to make the turkey look a little bit more kooky, give it some personality. But the felt ones are really nice for table settings. And you could even add like an extra strip of fabric to this and use it to maybe decorate your napkins. You know how sometimes you take your utensils and you wrap them up in a napkin. This can make a cute little decoration to put on top of the napkin wrappings on your utensils at the table. And of course, I wanted to show this one as well. I used the same exact technique, like I cut all the pieces out on a fold and stacked them in the same manner. I just used a different material. Craft foam is a lot easier to cut out because it's more similar to paper as opposed to this one being more fabric. So it depends on what kind of look you want to go for. I feel like this one looks a little craftier while this one looks a little bit more fall. There's just something fall-like about felt. It's just like a fall type fabric. So that's pretty much it. This one's named Butterball. This one doesn't have a name yet. You guys want to give this guy a name, let me know in the chat. That's pretty much it for my craft.
Nope. Please make sure, guys, that you know that always you could check out mdpls.org to check out books online as well. You could use the great resources for great ideas or maybe just reading. We got them at mdpls.org. Again, we'll see you guys next month and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.